Hello, everybody. I have a very special guest here with me, my husband, Chris.
Hello.
And, Dr. Campbell and I have been talking about doing more, shows like this to where you can get a little peek inside to our lives and the people that mean the most to us.
We're not peeking. We're pulling back the curtain.
Guys, I didn't plan for this podcast, okay, my husband would say, you could tell him, like, I'm such a...
Yeah, so Krystal's a bit of a planner, so she's never caught off guard.
Yes.
Which is great, especially when it's road trip time because the car is packed and organized and I just get in the car and drive. But your whole life is very organized. So I'm a bit of a loose cannon here. So this is going to be...
He makes me a little nervous.
I get to interview you.
I know.
So
yeah. So we really wanted to, it's fun to learn, right? And Dr. Campbell and I started this podcast because we wanted to provide so much information for you guys. We also have Benji here if you're watching video, but we wanted to provide a lot of amazing information, interview lots of great guests and learn, right? That's why we do this. But it's fun too, just to shut your mind off and get to know the people that, you're listening to every day. And that's really, really what I wanted to do. So I just want you guys to get to know me a little bit more. I get a little peek into my life. And it's really that's it. That's what I wanted to do with this episode. So,
well, one of the big things I think we should portray to people is how you stay disciplined. You have so many things going on with the kids and sports and a couple practices and the podcast and so forth. How do you keep it on the rails? How do you juggle the day-to-day with giving everyone the attention they need and feeling heard and feeling seen? Because you master that very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you multitask awesome. So when we clean the kitchen, I get kicked out because she said, just get out of here. You're taking forever, because she can do a million things at one time. So that is pushed over into our life. So if you could give a little info on how you make that look so effortless, I think that would be helpful for people. I'll take notes.
So yeah, discipline is something that I definitely put at the forefront. And I am such a planner, and that's how I stay really organized with life. It's almost like you have to, or else I feel like when there isn't organization, everything can really start to crumble, right? Where we feel like we don't...
much noise.
A lot of noise. Yeah. So I definitely prioritize family time, and make my work schedule around that, of course. And so does, my amazing business partner, Becky, too. She's very good at this. But
that's something I think we had to do as a family, is we changed up my work schedule a bit too, because family is such a top priority that we wanted someone here after school or during the summer hours. So the days where I'll work the morning, you'll work the afternoon, and we'll switch them around. And that was your idea. But
yeah. It's definitely a lot because, I was very blessed to be able to stay home and raise my kids and, make my work schedule around that. And then when they got into school, I was really ready just to unleash a lot of what I wanted to put out into the world. It was scary too. all these new business
you put a
ventures,
lot of your stuff on the back burner.
Yeah. And so when they got into school full time, I was really ready to take things to the next level, but that caused me to really have to get organized and disciplined in life, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a very disciplined morning routine where when I get up, we have coffee together, of course, and connect for a minute, but I really do get up, get the kids off to school with the help of you, of course, which I don't...
That comes to switching. So we switch days with that.
Yeah.
So you can get your workouts and whatnot in.
Yeah. And then I really focus on getting my mind right, getting a workout in, getting a full, complete breakfast in, make sure I'm prioritizing protein, getting in complete balanced meals is huge, especially for my energy, because I start seeing patients really early.
One thing that you switched recently, she used to get up and just start working, get very organized for the day without getting a little unwind time. So you could talk about how that changed, especially tracking on the Oura Ring and whatnot, how your sleep patterns and your recovery would be not as good when you just jumped right in.
It's true. Like I'm such when things have to get done, like I will just power down and get it done. But sometimes it can, be costly when it comes to your health. Yeah. Cause so I used to get up and just get on the computer, get organized for my day. But you shouldn't be looking at your screens as soon as you get up too. It just sets your whole day off wrong. And it can really impact your leptin and your blood sugar and your stress. It's really the worst thing you can do. So I really switched up my morning routine. I really just like to get some downtime, drink a nice little cup of coffee in the morning with hubby, get my workout in, connect with him, get my kids off to school. Also making sure that I'm connecting with the kids, looking at them, hugging them, loving them before they go off to school is really important to me. I wouldn't do anything that I do if I didn't have those tools in place, because nothing else matters but my family in the end.
So what is a typical morning routine? You get up, you chill out, you have Joe, and then coffee.
Yep.
And then what?
Set the intentions of my day, whether it's doing a little bit of journaling, whether it's, just connecting with him. It is kind of fast in the morning, with getting the kids off to school. So when they come down, we get them on the bus. Then I'm really, working out, then meditating, getting in the shower. So it's very strict and regimented. I'm set on times here because I start seeing patients, right, in the practice. And then after patients, I'm working a lot on these other ventures, like our programs and the podcast and all of these other things we have going on too. And then once my kids get home from school, I'm done working. Of course, it's not always perfect. Things come in. And me and Beck have so much going on right now with all these amazing things happening. So things will come in. But when my kids get home from school, I really try to put all of that aside and be present with them. So have dinner with them, have dinner ready for them. Those things matter the most to me, when it comes to our kids coming home and making sure that they're being seen, heard, how their day's going.
That brings up a good point with food and kids. Because everyone's out there struggling with that one. How have you found Krystal's a mental ninja, I think, when it comes to how to talk to the kids? Like I'm a 2x4, I'm basic. I just talk to each one of them the same way. And she's like, no, he's more words and she's more acts of service. And you are really good at organizing that for each of them. How have you done such a good job of teaching them the ins and outs of health and food and how that it impacts them over the long haul? Because they make fun of us, right?
Oh my gosh.
Constantly. Like if I have to hear the word gut, gluten or gut or histamine or whatever, again, Mom, so organize that a little bit, because
it's hard on people.
It's hard. Kids want something that tastes good and is quick and
the influence of other people, right? So, and then you got school and functions that you have to worry about. And it's been a journey for us.
But I think where we've succeeded, and it's not, maybe we win the war, but not the battle. We've educated them along the way where they're starting to recognize how these foods impact them, especially when it comes to sports. If they didn't eat as well, and then they're going to play 4 games in a row and their blood sugar tanks and they feel shaky and they feel awful, and they can recognize, instead of saying, yeah, you shouldn't have ate XYZ, you could recognize how did this food make you feel versus that food. And they're seeing these patterns, and because they don't really want to listen to you, but if it's their own idea, and we help bring them to that gap, I think we've had some success. But that's a challenge.
It is hard. It's very hard. So And it has been a journey because I want it to be a healthy journey for them. I want to teach them, but not hound them and force them and create unhealthy relationships with food,
That's a good
right?
one. Yeah.
Because it is very hard too, and you want them to be able to bend a little bit, when they're going to school and be able to have some of the fun things and not be, how would you even describe that? Like psycho about it, or
Well, it's just
it's
smart.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're under a microscope. Some things that I think we did well, say for holiday, or to say something like Halloween, we would, instead of getting all worked up about it, they've learned that this routine is, hey, on that night,
Have a couple.
have a pretty good time.
Yeah.
However, when we get home, we're going to do the old witch switch,
Yeah.
and you're going to trade your bag of goodies that you earned. That's your new currency level for whatever whatever it was.
Yeah.
Roblox or whatever it was that they liked. And trading it out seemed to be effective instead of just removing them from it, because then they're gonna rebel.
Yeah, they will. And they get almost, what's the word for it? Resentful in a way with comparing. And I know, like, you could drive yourself crazy with that. Well, this is the way it is. But we really do try to instill a healthy relationship with food, because it's awful, when you see kids struggling, and you see those patterns go on to adulthood, right? When you see eating disorders, and it can go both ways, guys, when it comes to that. So I really, when I'm talking with them, we both do this, just really try to focus on, this is why we have protein right before we have the carbs, or like potatoes. Of course kids want the bread and the potatoes and all the tasty stuff, but we really try to get your protein in. What vegetables have you had today? What good fruits have you had today? We really try to instill that in them so that they can make better choices for themselves, especially as they get older, because we really do try to lead by example. We really do. And I feel like that is the best way for kids to learn. They're watching you. It doesn't matter what you say. They're looking at your actions.
Give them momentum as they get older. If they, how hard it is to get any adult to switch up their behavior.
Oh yeah. It's very hard.
Because they've had 20, 30, 40 years of routine. It's kind of like your coffee routine. Do you even want it, or is that just something you do in the morning?
Right.
To get out, the only way I find to change a habit is to change your environment. You got to get somewhere new, and it's not reminding you of these triggers. So with them, if we can create these good habits now where they have this momentum to carry them into their adulthood, because they're going to have fun, and they're going to, when I say fun, they're going to not make the best choices, but you know what? They know how to recognize what that does to their body, how they feel, and consistently 80% of the time make good choices that fuel their body.
Yeah. Because I do feel like it changed. When they were babies, we had control over everything, right? Toddlers, their palate was amazing. They ate all the vegetables. They ate anything I put in front of them, right? It was great. And then they go to school and they get introduced to all these treats, and then they're swapping, things. And so that's my take right now, is really what
would you pass up Nutella for cucumbers? No way. You'd trade that in a second.
It's so true though, so we do our best with our kids. And I really just try to teach them, but it is so funny because my kids they'll be like, Mom, really? If I hear histamine, or if I hear gut, or you know what I mean?
Their comedic timing is
pretty comical.
On point.
It's good. Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. And they're starting to, like me, like to pick on you a little bit because it's fun.
It's all right. I'll take it.
And you're a good sport about it. But how do we connect with them? We have a lot going on, and they have a lot going on, but staying connected, because in a day, let's say Savannah, our daughter, she left for school, say 10 to 7 the other day, went to school, went to track practice, got picked up, and then got dropped off at basketball practice. We got home at 8 o'clock at night. So she's gone for 13 hours, but how are What's a focus for you? Because you're busy. Now they're busy. We're understanding our window of maybe influence and positive reinforcement with them is decreasing,
I know
especially as
they're
they get
busy.
older.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have 10 hours a day with them. You may have an hour or two. How are you connecting with them? Because you do a good job of that, of like slowing it down. And like we mentioned before, feeling heard, feeling understood, looking them in the eyes. I think you do a good job of letting them talk and express themselves, but share with that, share how you created that safe space for them.
Yeah, I definitely, it's constantly changing and we have to adapt to everyone's schedule. But the biggest thing is being present with them, letting them know that I am here no matter what. Mm-hmm. Anything they ever need to talk about, good, bad, ugly, I'm always here. Making that time for them, putting down devices. So when, yes, we are all busy and no one is perfect at this, and that's not what I'm saying, but when your kids come in the room, like, we should be present with them. Let them, if you're constantly looking at your screen or busy or distracted, or
they'll stop asking. Yeah. If they recognize you're busy. Yeah. And they'll move on to the next thing. And I think that's important to recognize at this stage, middle schooler, and they'll move on. Yeah. And it was a little bit of a hard transition for me when I started taking on more in my career and the new business ventures that I started, because my time, there's certain things that come in where you have to work a little bit when it's not work hours. That's just the way that it is. And I will just say to them, honey, mom has to work just for a little bit longer, but that's what I'm doing right now. It's not that I'm not present with you or that I don't want to be present with you. So I try to like separate that time, or at least communicate with them, or say, we're going to have a lot of time this day to spend together. This is what we're going to do. That's a good point too, is if you set the intention. I found this works good, that if we knew, like for her and I, if like date night does not work for our schedule, but lunch does. Yeah. Yeah. And a coffee date at lunch, if we know we have, okay, Thursday at noon is where we're at 2 hours carved out to check in. That's very helpful, instead of, okay, 6 o'clock at night, but kids are still in sports, and then we need a babysitter, and who's going to feed them dinner, and all these roadblocks. So having that set time, that works good for them too. I think knowing that we have this scheduled out time where they are going to just get loved on. Yeah. Are you regretting sharing a microphone with me right now? I think it's great. It brings me a little closer to you. We're good. Okay. Well, here we are, right in each other's space. Honey, it's normal. It's good. What do you feel a little? Well, hello. No, but how about when fun time comes around? What refills you? Yeah. Because we've been trying to carve out 90 day, every 90 days, do something fun. Yeah. Right. Just peel off for the weekend. But what recharges you where you're ready to jump back in, say Monday? Yeah. Because it's funny. Well, this made me think of this, but anybody that knows me or who's close to me, our friends, family, would probably look at me and think of me more as an extrovert. Wouldn't you think? Yes. Yeah. And really and truly, I'm an extroverted introvert. Hermit. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a hermit. I love my home. I love being cozy. I'm in leggings all the time, drinking tea, reading books, teaching. I love that stuff. From home. From home. It is. That's just who I am. No, but you when you get out there, you get obviously what you're doing. You can't be a total introvert. Yeah. So I'm the introvert. No, you're not. On this type of stuff. He could run for mayor. This is how bad it is, guys. Okay. So like if we need to go, so he's also a chiropractor locally where we live, and an amazing one, by the way. And I tell him all the time he could run for mayor. He grew up around here. So everyone knows Chris. And so when we have to like go to Target, I'm not allowed in. He's not allowed in. I'll say, listen, buddy. Because I like to say, oh, hey, meet my wife. And she's like, no. And I'm exhausted, which I mean,
it could take like an hour, even if you have to run in and get some toilet paper.
Well,
It's kind of a big deal, is what he was.
What it is.
So anyways.
So I thrive in that scenario.
Yeah.
In the social media scenario.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
I do have accounts, but I don't know how to use them. Yes. And the only reason I have them is because they're linked to our office page and I can't delete them.
Yes. It's kind of a blessing in the long term, wouldn't you say? Like, because you never really got into it. I mean, I will say social media and podcasting and all that is amazing for connecting, for business, for all the things. I wouldn't take it away for anything, but I will tell you, the people who have held strong and have grown their businesses without social media, or who have done all the things without it, let me just say you did it right from the beginning.
Well, I don't know about that. This is a great way to reach people.
Yeah.
And it's effective. And I don't share much, but I consume a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I love a podcast. I love listening to your guys' podcast, and I have my other favorites. I think it's like story time. Yeah. As a kid, come to the carpet, sit down, and we're going to read you a story. That's how I like that. I like to listen to people conversate and to get the ins and outs of their life and get a little peek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, even like today, it's nice to hear what's behind the scene, not so polished and not so.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I'm not real polished that way. So that stuff's hard for me to, make sure everything looks good and good takes, but yeah, that's why I said we're going to wing this today. Which we are. There's no prepping for this, guys. So I'm like kind of like a duck right now, but I'm good now. Do you understand that analogy, like a duck? So if a duck is swimming across the pond, they look very calm and stoic on top, but underneath they're paddling real fast and hard. So that's our kind of I always say that to mom. He's like, "How you doing, babe?" I'm like a duck today, man. I'm like a duck, but I'm paddling like a mother underneath. So what's the big things going on now in as far as some of the programs you created? I know you and Becky worked really hard the last couple of months in creating programs, but what's the big why do that instead of more of the one-on-one? What was your big purpose for doing so? Yeah, it's been a long time coming, wanting to create these programs, and me and Beck have been talking about it for years, really. It's making functional medicine more accessible for people who just cannot work with one-on-one. It is more money to work one-on-one because we spend a lot of time with patients, but we've created these protocols in breaking down of different functional testing, and we do it just like we work with patients in the practice. So it's really about making functional medicine more accessible to people, where they can also order testing. So that's really, and I just love to create. I there's so much in me that I feel like I have walked through with patients, and I have it's been amazing to create and to get all of that out of me and to help more people. Like it's just that's more the beauty simple. Of this too, is you can make things accessible to people. And that's the beauty of anything online now, is you can learn a lot of things and it's out there, but it's about, like we said with the kids and good eating, it's about creating good momentum. And the more accessible it is, I think people will utilize it. If you have to go to the ends of the earth to get access to anything, it makes it more challenging. Yeah. And the people who suffer, the people who don't have access to the knowledge, so they can't even make a good decision on how to improve their health. Right. That I think that becomes huge, because some people, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, you don't. Yeah. So, and you guys know a lot. What's weird is we, obviously we've been married for a long time. 15 years. Almost. Crystal's not good with dates. No, I'm not. I know the dates. He knows all the dates. Okay. However, so you, what were we saying? About dates? I don't know what we were saying. I lost my train of thought. Being married for a long time? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's anyway. Okay. Speaking of dates, this is our date today. Yeah, it is. Kids are at school and we just decided to jump on here. And maybe that's why I asked you, because we are drinking coffee, and I asked if you shared this mic with me if you were regretting it.
No. I wanted to go back on to, I know we were talking a little bit about functional medicine and making things more accessible, but you were talking about some of the things that what I do to fill my cup a little bit. And then we could talk about what you do too.
Yeah, because we talked about vacations. We talked about regrouping. Every 90 days we try to do something.
Yeah.
Whether gone for the weekend or do something. Yeah. How do you what fills you back up? What motivates you to keep doing all of this?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I definitely have a lot of drive where there's a lot that I want to work on and all the things, but unless I am fulfilled inside or not, okay, let me reframe that. If I'm not depleted, right? You cannot give
right.
from an empty cup, because a lot of my day is spent pouring into people. And I've been that way since I was born, I feel. Don't you? Like, I know you didn't know me when I was born, but.
Well, yeah, you're always rooting for the underdog and trying to help.
Yes.
From a place of service, for sure.
Yeah. And I find sometimes when I give, and I don't spend that time to refill and replenish my cup, that's when things go haywire with my health, with our family. I would even say, even in marriage, you would say we can disconnect it. Exactly. So things that I do that really fill my cup, and we can even talk about some of the things that you do, because I think that's important. But spending time alone by myself. Which
is hard to get.
Very hard. But you are amazing at allowing me that all the time. Like this
is my favorite segment.
No, I'm serious. I don't know what I would.
I understand that. I understand that when you have too much going on in here, it's I had an old mentor that said you would be in accessible mode or locked mode, and accessible mode is that creative place, that playful place where, like, when kids are always accessible. They can act as an astronaut for 4 hours, where you and I could do that for like 10 seconds. It's like we get back in the locked mode of chores I have to do. So allowing yourself to be in the accessible mode is huge, and everyone gets there differently. You get there differently than I do. Some people can just have space and quiet and lets their mind unwind. So I understand why you need that.
Yeah, it's important. So I love taking baths. So I will, like, at the end of every day, take a bath and relax in the bath, Epsom salt baths. I also love to read. Nature walks, like getting outside, definitely grounds me. It's harder because we live in a state where, it's freezing in the winters. So you definitely got to bundle up and push yourself a little bit to get out there in the wintertime. But I love to just quiet my mind and not have to talk to anybody, not to be like rude or anything, but it's important just to spend time by myself a little bit. I do love to sauna too. That's another way that any ways working on my health too, in those ways. If I can do both at the same time, it fills my cup. It's what makes me happy. It makes me healthy. It makes me feel good.
Well, isn't that where you get thought flashes too?
Oh,
You're out doing something that's enjoyable and relaxing, and
you get creative.
Because where did that thought come from? Where did thoughts come from anyway? It just popped in your head, but it was always, it's there. You just weren't able to receive it. So you have to clear out the webs.
Yeah.
That's important daily.
Yeah, it is.
You can't just check in with yourself once a month.
Right.
Expect to be on the rails.
Yeah. And I will say, and I'm sure so many people can relate to this, but my family, like my core, like Chris and my kids and my extended family through marriage. And, my mom lives across the street from us and my sister. And I will say that I am most happy when I feel connected to them, when I'm spending time with them and making that effort. And family, we prioritize family dinners. Our family gets together. I will see, like, I wear the Aura ring, and me and Beck have talked about this a lot on the podcast, but when I am around, like, socially with the people that I love, that fill my cup, that make me feel safe, make me feel seen and heard. And, I don't, my HRV just goes right up, baby. Like
Yeah,
the stress,
way more recovered.
So I have to make sure I'm doing the things too that make me happy and spending time with loved ones.
And we've talked about that recently
that.
with my grandfather passed away like 2 weeks ago, and just put everything in perspective of what's really important. You start walking around a house that someone used to live in and say, well, what's all this is just stuff. It's just stuff. So what are you remembering of that person, and the memories and the legacy you leave behind, and the impact you have on them? And I thought back when I thought on him, is I didn't remember some conversations, but I always remembered the energy in the room and how he made you feel. And being present and really genuinely interested in you. And I think you can't do that if you're scattered.
No.
And you can't do that if your head's thinking about a million other things, or if you're trying to, we joked about multitasking, but you can't really multitask your feelings in a room with someone. Someone knows if you're connected. The kids know if you're connected. I know if we're connected, or you're just and doing something else. And there's times you have to, but having a pattern where you recenter yourself is crucial. I think you do a good job with that, with sauna, or going for a walk, or taking a bath, or just turning it off and hanging out with your family.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm a little bit different in the way I do that.
Why don't you tell some of the listeners too, like some things that you do? Because I mean, naturally he is an athlete growing up, a decathlete, right? From Michigan State. So he's always been extremely disciplined. And of course that's had to waver and change as you get older and have a family and all the things. What are some of the things that you do?
I have to have struggle every day. I don't know why that is, but I need to be able to overcome. I find it the best through, mentally, I have a lot of challenges and things we have to do with businesses, and that can be mentally, but physically, I need a challenge to overcome every day, whether that's mentally getting in the ice tub, or a run, or we would play basketball really early in the morning before everyone gets up at like 5:30, and that can be hard. But mentally, I need something hard to do, and I always think of it like an Etch-a-Sketch. One of those things when we were kids, when eventually it's all just cluttered, and I need that struggle to just reset the whole thing.
Yeah,
I can't really sit and think about it.
I need to do
something hard. I need hard things to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and that's where we'll be different. She can regroup and just sit and chat and connect. But I'm like, I need to die on the treadmill real fast, and then we can connect.
It's so true how different.
Yeah.
We really are in those ways.
I'm like a puppy that needs to be exercised. I'll start chewing the couch and pacing. That's
a great analogy, babe.
They act silly, and that's how I am. And that's why, like, sometimes when she wants to sit down, she gives me something to hold because it gives me something to do. And I'm like, okay. And then when this gets empty,
he's like, okay, what do I need to do? I'm like, can you just be like, and you're like, but I just gotta, especially if you haven't, let's say you were busy and you didn't work out that day, or you didn't meditate that day, or something of those,
And even meditation can be tough for me because it's a stationary thing. Mm-hmm. I find running without headphones meditative. Mm-hmm. I listen to my feet, just da-dun, 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 instead of, I need to be physically pushed, and then I'm a better human. I think better. I'm nicer. I'm kinder. I'm more patient.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the most patient person on the planet.
I don't know. The kids can bring me there.
Well, that's
we
natural.
Gave our kids a nickname, and that was mental terrorists.
Guys, you can relate, right? When they're growing up, they're getting more lippy. They can be a little bit mental terrorists.
Yeah, but maybe, that's the exercise for me to be patient. But that's, that we brought that up because that can be children should be seen and not heard. The old analogy is like, we want to be able to give them a voice, but they're at that stage now where they're learning their comedic timing, and it's funny.
You just don't want it to get a little too disrespectful.
But it
so
wasn't
you're
at the right time.
I hear you, but let's rein it in a little.
Yeah, so you've enlightened me a little bit on giving them that voice so they can, and I think it's worked because they're getting older and they do want to share with us their
Absolutely. They come to us about everything. I feel like if you give
if
your
you got an hour with them a day, like we
Mhm.
talked about earlier, hopefully they can share with us the highlights, the most important.
Yeah, when they're especially as they get older and get into teenage mode and they get their own social lives. And because that's what I start thinking about is, oh my gosh, we have 18 years. Yes, of course they're going to be around our lives, for as long as we're blessed with, but
just not in this house.
Right. Whatever. I always say to my kids, I'm like, you can live with me as long as you want.
I let them know I got those advent calendars you did for Christmas, how many days they have left. I start pulling off the months.
Crap, you're full of it.
8 more years, buddy. Learn how to make eggs.
Yeah.
You're out of here.
But it's so true. We have 18 years with them, and it can just really start to make you think about things, and it goes so flipping fast.
Well, don't you feel like what's that hourglass thing when the sand comes down? I feel like mine got flipped over and I'm on the last drip.
Well, you turned 40.
That's panicky.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I'm turning 40 this year. And it's crazy to think
Krystal
that.
put the best surprise party together. So this year, I gotta up that.
It's okay, honey.
You set the bar too high. I was hoping we'd just be like, hey, how about steak? And
well, it was a nice surprise party with friends and family, like close friends and family, and
nice surprise. It had a tent. It was catered.
I know, but you deserve it because I just love you. But yeah, 40, it's making us look at a lot of these things in life, and as life gets busier and just trying to prioritize and do the best we can to find this crazy balance in life. What are some things that we could share with people that we prioritize for our relationship? Because I will say that is one thing, and I'm not going to get emotional, but it is one thing that
you didn't last very long. I'm not going to get emotional.
It is one thing that I find we got right. Like I definitely feel like I have my person. Like I'm one that was blessed with a soulmate, my forever person. But what are some ways that you think that, for anybody listening that are struggling to connect with their partner, or some things that we do,
Well, I think that's what it is. You have to connect.
Yeah.
You have to connect. I don't really think it works if it's not 50-50.
Yeah.
I don't think there's dad jobs and mom jobs, right? However, you do leave the garbage at the step in the garage. When I see the garbage,
I really do. And it's like an extra 2 feet. Well, don't let me make fun of all your little piles you got. Let's you want to start jabbing.
This is my show. So, but it is about I do think the balance of just it's a unit, it's a house, and you some days you're going to need me more, and then some days you need me less. And just if you're aware and you can read the room and tune in a little bit, you
being
realize
selfish with each other,
something that
conditional.
Maybe I've never told you this, but I always realized it helped when I had a daughter to realize, okay, a large part of your happiness in not like could be happy without me, but a large part of your day-to-day experience in life is largely dependent on what I'm bringing to the table. So you could have an exceptional life, you could have a miserable life. If I come home and I'm crabby all the time and things like that, that makes a miserable experience for you, and you get one life here. So it made me think about that when we had Savannah forever ago. It was like, wow, someday she's going to possibly get married, but whoever that person is could enhance her life or make it miserable. So that's a responsibility. It's a responsibility to to try to improve your life through my actions and vice versa. And I think that's where we've had some, great success in all the things we've done, and we've moved and started business and all the crazy stuff that's happened.
Stress.
But if we didn't have a constant, and I didn't know that you had my back, and I could totally trust you, and I could be vulnerable with you, because I'm not good at it. That's been special.
Yeah. And I would say definitely communication is.
Yeah. And that's something I do with you, but I'm not good at that.
Yeah. You've never been an extremely vulnerable person. You're very vulnerable with me, but you're very you're vulnerable with some people.
Sure.
Yeah. But you're getting better.
But that comes from just trust. I trust
it's true.
You.
Yeah.
I trust. What's helped me a lot is I know it's helped me in a moment of, if I get frustrated with you, I know deep down that in our relationship, you have no ego and you want the best for me. It may not come across in that moment, the way I perceive it anyway, but I know you do.
Yeah.
So
vice versa.
That's helpful for me to be like, okay.
Yeah.
She didn't really mean anything by that.
Yeah.
Just giving you that grace and knowing the foundation is solid.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say definitely I feel the same. And definitely prioritizing time together. And like we said, we don't have time for to go out and do a date night. We definitely need to get better at that. But every day we spend time.
It comes up, you know what it is? It's if there's too many barriers, then we stop. Well, where are we going to go eat? Well, we don't really like that menu because they cook with this oil or that oil. We don't feel good after we eat. It's well, I can make a better steak at home, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So we found the least resistance was afternoon hangout.
Yeah. And we do, have a lot of the weekends together, and, we love to spend time with the kids too, and then, sometimes you got to prioritize sexy time too, guys, with the crazy family life. So that's just keeping it real.
Do we have an edit button on it? Did we just turn the tables?
I'm just keeping it real with the people. Sometimes life gets busy.
She goes to, Chris isn't real vulnerable. He doesn't like to share much. We prioritize sexy time.
But it's true. You get busy. You can't. And I will tell you, working with so many perimenopause and menopausal women, if you don't prioritize that, this is the take that I have found working with women. When you don't use it, you lose it a little. And it's the truth. And I'm just coming from, here I am, the doctor and me talking about this with what we see with patients. But, you do have to prioritize that and keep that special and sacred in your relationship, because life does get busy. Is it perfect? Are we all walking around, doing that all the time? But I'm just saying, you got to prioritize it, and that's okay. Right. So, when life
prioritize getting comfortable,
getting comfortable.
You guys, never mind.
What? Tell them.
We were, that was my grandpa's joke. Always.
Yeah. He's the best.
He would always, hey, go get comfortable.
I mean, aren't grandpas and grandmas the best? They bring so much joy and happiness. We'll remember and love him forever.
Yeah,
he was really the best. So is there anything else you wanted to ask me that maybe the listeners would want to hear, or anything else you wanted to talk about?
What's the future? What's in the future? Where are we going to see you next?
Oh gosh. Me and Beck have so many plans for Health Babes, and it's really, really exciting.
Health Babes.
And a dude. We have said that, but it's really just the beginning. We're really creating more things and more programs. We're about to do a lot of different marketing and such for the programs. And we have a lot of great plans for the podcast, which has been so fun. all the listeners, you guys have been amazing. All your feedback and reviews, we appreciate it so much. It helps us too. And without you, we wouldn't be here, with you, without you listeners. So we're just creating more and helping more people. It's really what it's about.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to me and the old hubs here. Thanks for coming on, babe. You did good. Guys, he did good, right? He has never done a podcast before, or like never goes live, does anything on Instagram like we talked about. And I'm really proud of you. You don't, do you? No. You guys, I'm serious. He is kind of doing it right.
So if you want to talk trash, I'm not going to see it. Go ahead.
He'll just ask me. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, no.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for tuning in.
And Ghost.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And if you love this episode, please leave a review. It only takes a couple minutes. And you can find out more about us on drbeckycampbell.com. And you can follow us over at Instagram on @HealthBabesPodcast, @Dr. Becky Campbell, and @Dr. Krystal Hohn. Have an amazing day.